Here's some of the items I use to take care of my frogs. We have medication and sterile nitrile gloves. And I have water softener, water conditioner, vitamins, calcium. I've got the feed that I feed to my crickets, and I've got a couple of other feeders here. And we have kitchen tongs, which I use for feeding tongs. And what we have over here, this is the medication they've been using. We have Panacur and Flagyl. Panacur's been used for to treat hookworm in my frogs, and the Flagyl has been used for coccidiosis. It's not the greatest thing, I guess, to use for a complete demise of coccidiosis. There's other items which are medications which are better for that. Tontorol, I think. Don't quote me on that name. But basically the Flagyl, metronidazole, or however that's pronounced, I just call it Metro, is supposed to help clear out the levels of the coccidia, that is, so the frogs can sort of take care of the rest of it with their own immune system. And that's the two smaller bottles right there. And the bigger bottle is ivermectin, which was prescribed for Lucy and Martha for strongyloidy worms. And I got Riptaboost in the back. And I actually used that to dust the waxworms with. There's the waxworms right there. They're there. To help give the frogs an extra boost. I didn't want to try force feeding the stuff into them. They Shirley and Honey, they just needed a little extra oomph. They weren't to the point where they were not eating or anything. Shirley was a little off. I mean, Shirley was never off her feed. Honey was a little off his. But he seems to be fine now. He's just weird and finicky frog. That's a 20 gauge needle on that syringe. Oops. And that is actually what I use. I take the needle off and I put it on the 1 milliliter syringe right there. And I use that to inject Panacur or Flagyl in to the waxworm at the proper dosage and feed it to the frogs that need it. The last dosage I gave to Shirley, I'm trying to remember what that was. She actually had to eat like 3 worms. One waxworm will take about 0.04 milliliters worth of medication, so you kind of have to feed as many, according to the dose of the frogs. That's a peanut butter jar lid that I use to dust the feeders with when I give Reptivite or Reptical. Everybody likes Reptical. All the frogs take the Reptivite except Honey hates it. And there's the Reptisafe, which I use to treat the soaking water and their misting water. That right there, that green thing, actually has a soft-ended catheter needle, which our latest, our doctor that we found to treat the frogs says we could try that to medicate Lucy and Martha, because Martha will not take waxworms. Lucy only does on occasion. Neither one of them will hand feed. So that's my little problem there. I'm glad that, Shirley, Lucy, and Jellybean all, they will hand feed too, which is a nice thing. Let's see, what else do we have here? So there's a peanut butter jar. I actually use that to put the crickets into when I feed them. And I just put the dust, instead of, dusting them in a lid, obviously they're going to jump out. That's just for the waxworms. I put the dust directly into the jar and just shake the crickets around in there, and then I just dump them into the house or the bowl or whatever it is they're eating out of. And that's honey, of course, natural honey for honey baths. And this is what I feed my crickets. Ow. I give them majority of what they get is the Fluker's high calcium dry cricket chow. And I supplement that by sprinkling in some tropical fish flake food. It has no artificial colors in it or any of that nastiness. And the crickets also eat these original Cheerios here. When I tongue feed somebody, well, I've used this mostly for earthworm. I'm not feeding a lot of earthworm lately. Martha will not take earthworms anymore. I don't know why. She had some trouble with one, pretty big one the last time she ate one. And I don't know if it was from that, because she's chucked down big ones before, no issues. Or I'm just wondering if maybe she's having a sensitive stomach issue because of the Strong Ladies. But that's what I use. I have used it with Shirley and Honey, even though they'll just take them right from my fingers. And I don't have to worry. Somebody's commenting back there in the background. I hear you, honey. What are you complaining about? Anyway, I don't have to worry about. I stick it on the upper corner, right there, and I'm not worried about sharp, corners. They've never hurt themselves on this thing, and I find it a lot easier to hold these handles and hold them closed than I would like with a tweezer, for instance. Especially since I've got carpal, that just works out better for me. I'm going to try these on them, on the guys who do hand feed. Never tried them before. I have no idea how big these things are. But they're supposed to be soft. I could always take off the lid. That doesn't even look like a grasshopper. That looks like a locust to me. There's another product called Cano worms, etc., Cano hoppers and stuff that are actually supposed to be grasshoppers. I can always take the legs off those things and take the wings off if there's wings and see if they'll eat them. And here we have a box of spotted roaches, dubias, that I forgot about. And they have been sitting over there underneath the frog cart for like a long time. And if I could open this thing to show you without spilling everything. I did not expect them to still be alive. They have been there for months, and I haven't even thought about them. And there's like a dried up piece of yam in there, and there's a dried up Cheerios, and these things are still alive. I'm like totally, completely floored by that. I don't know if I should feed them or not. But I'm going to go check on Frog Forum and ask somebody who knows about these things if I should. I mean, they haven't even had anything to drink. How can these things still be living? That one's orange. Maybe I don't know. I really have no idea. But anyway, that's them. And I might have pneumonia or something, but I'm going to go to our reptile expo next week, and I might get some new, fresher dubias. Maybe I'll talk to the dubia person there. There's a big dubia breeder who's going to be there. And find some hornworms and just try to find some different things to kind of mix up what they eat. I'd like to have a little more of a variety for them. Anyway, this is some of my care stuff right here. And I will show next what I clean and disinfect houses with. Okay, I didn't want to forget this. This is my Ozark Trail insulated lunch bag thingy. And I actually keep this in the refrigerator with, I have to go through all these, with, this is where I put the wax worms and the night crawlers when I have them, Canadian night crawlers. And it holds quite a few boxes. And you can even keep a couple up here. See? And it keeps them a little warmer than the refrigerator itself. So I haven't had a lot of problems with die-off or anything. The night crawlers, you know, have survived very well in there. And I don't have any excessive die-off of the waxworms other than, you know, what they already come with essentially from sitting at Petco forever. So this works pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. Okay, these are the things that I use to clean up and disinfect tanks and sanitize things in between uses. We have, of course, Clorox bleach, and I use the super concentrated API tap water dechlorinator when I rinse everything that I use with this. I also use vinegar for the outside of the tanks and to try to get those water spots. And I use hydrogen peroxide as well. And anything that gets sprayed down with bleach, I use a fine mist sprayer for everything. And this red one means it is for disinfecting. I color code all my bottles. My blue ones are for fresh water only use, and the red ones are for cleaning and disinfecting, and for use with the bleach water in particular, so I could put it on a fine stream and get it down into all the little nooks and crannies and things on decor that I have to do. So that's my cleaning supplies. I have heard that Clorox does not kill coccidiosis or coccidia. So bleach does not kill coccidia. And I've heard of two separate things that work on them. One source says the only thing that will work is an ammonia product, a strong ammonia, pure ammonia type product, and that's the only thing that'll kill osis. So yeah, that's a real pain to hear that the bleach doesn't work on the osis. Another thing I've heard is that the high-powered peroxide, like they use in salons for bleaching hair, will also kill it. Haven't gotten me any of that yet. Definitely want to try it. But from the last test results, the frogs are at the moment coccidiosis free, and I really hope they stay that way. So this batch of stuff here should do just fine. And this is the water we use. This is what goes into all the spraying, misting, water bowls. It's a natural spring water from BPA-free bottles, and we treat that with the ReptiSafe, which I showed in the last little video clip there. So, and when I rinse everything, I was rinsing, with this at first and ReptiSafe, but it's a lot better to just go ahead and treat the tap water with the super concentrate API and use that to rinse everything off. So then I get to save the spring water for everything else. We also drink it, and all the plants get watered with it. So good stuff. These are the containers I use to get my crickets. And so I go to the store with these. And they're size coded, which is nice. Put the big crickets in the big jar, put the little crickets in the little jar, and then we're set. So that's pretty good. And that's a typical squeeze bottle that I use there for watering down, like the paper towels, or just filling up, you know, smaller water dishes or what have you. Here's a collection of containers which may or may not wind up to be water receptacles and or bowl feeders. So we shall see. Speaking of crickets, you can hear that. This is where I keep the big crickets. And I need to change their water again. This cotton ball stuff gets so messed up because they lay eggs in here and they poo in here. In fact, I think that one's laying an egg in there right now, or trying to. Yep, she's laying eggs in it. If I had a warmer place, something with a heating pad, I could stick this whole dang mess of cotton into something and probably hatch me out a whole bunch of feeders. Yep, she's laying eggs in there. Oh well. So I've been throwing out lots of cricket eggs. Because when it starts looking nasty like that, I always just change it out and put in new water for them. But they're getting busy in the cotton. There's some Cheerios just thrown in there. So, but that's where they are, with tea boxes and egg crates and an oatmeal box, and all their food is in a big dish under there. So that's the big crickets. These things get out of here constantly. So I really need to put these tanks into something deeper. And here's the small to medium crickets. And there's a lot of them. I don't usually buy the big crickets, but PetSmart doesn't carry them. They just carry large crickets and small crickets. So this last time I went to PetSmart and I got them big guys, but they're basically just going to do their crickety things, lay their eggs and die. And the last crickets I got from PetSmart were too small, but it looks like they're growing. So basically, the smalls become mediums, and if they're in here and they become mature, get their wings and all that doodah and get too big to be mediums, I just chuck them in the tank with the big guys.